How are you all doing? You all right? Thanks for all joining us this morning. It's so nice to see so many new but also some familiar faces out there. But for those of you who I'm not yet familiar with, my name is Emily Salt. I am a digital PR production manager at Root Digital, which are now part of the Re-Signal group, of course, who are our wonderful hosts for today. So without further ado, today we'll be exploring how you can get seen, cited and shared, and how you can use data and digital PR to help win in both search and AI. So what is digital PR and why should you care about it? That feels like somewhat of a loaded question, but I'm going to assume that there's some level of understanding in the room of what digital PR is. But if you're sitting there thinking, I have no idea, don't worry, we're going to cover it. So really, you should think about digital PR as the bridge between traditional PR and also SEO. It's not just about getting your brand mentioned, but it's about getting the mentions in the right place so that you can actually help to drive organic performance. When high authority sites link back to your website, it helps to signal credibility to Google, and ultimately that is what helps to push your site up higher in the rankings. But digital PR isn't just about publicity, it's about driving measurable results like traffic, authority, and also conversions. Now, how does it support the wider business? I feel like there's many more than just these three ways that it does. But most importantly, digital PR can help to drive new and existing users through coverage, and it also helps you to reach a wider audience. Secondly, we've already discussed how digital PR can support rankings, but through both branded and non-branded backlinks, but also other brand signals like linking coverage or non-linking coverage, it helps to support your organic performance. And finally, through visibility as well. So overall brand awareness through consistent and relevant coverage helps to increase your brand visibility in both SERPs and AI. But ultimately, search engines, LLMs, and AI overviews look beyond your website, and that's where digital PR can help to build that external validation. Now, if you were to ask me, Emily, this sounds great, but why should I care about it? Not only would you break my heart just a little bit as digital PR standing here, but I tell you that there's many more than just these three reasons here. Firstly, digital PR can help to build trust and credibility with both your audiences and new audiences as well. Secondly, it helps to shape brand perception. It means that you are at the forefront of conversations that are happening about your brand and you're helping to control that narrative of what people learn about you and where. And finally, it helps to build brand recognition. We know that brands that become familiar are often the brands that are chosen over time. So making sure that you're inserting yourself into not only a single channel, but multiple channels and being at the forefront of your audience's mind is likely for you to become one of the chosen brands. But the struggle, and anybody in the industry will probably vouch for this, is that digital PR is a marathon and not a sprint. It's about investing in long-term results rather than quick one-off wins. Within digital PR, there's no guaranteed results from day one, and these things often take time and momentum to build. In fact, at Root, we actually looked into our own campaign data, and we found that on average, it takes around 38 days for a campaign to build its first link. And that's just the first link. That's not the entire impact of the campaign. But what's important to understand is that results aren't immediate and, like I said, guaranteed from day one. Some campaigns will land coverage very quickly, whereas others take longer to build momentum, and depending on things like timing, relevance, and also your outreach success. So rather than expecting quick wins, the real value of digital PR comes from a sustained investment, where growth builds over time rather than all at once. And that leads me on really nicely to one of the first segments that I want to speak to you about today, and that is how to get more out of your digital PR strategy. So one of the key things to remember about digital PR is that it rarely comes from a single isolated effort or single isolated activity. The most effective strategies are the ones that are built on different activities that support each other and coincide with each other, rather than relying on one standalone approach. And likewise, it's also very important to remember consistency. Each piece of work should add to the last, and over time that helps to build momentum. And once you've got that momentum, that's when things can really start to shift. Coverage becomes easier to gain, stories become stronger, and the overall impact of your activity becomes significantly stronger. So I'm going to take a breather, and I'd like to request some audience participation. I know it's nearly lunchtime and you're all probably hungry, so let's bring some energy in. I want you to raise your hand if you're a brand and you already have digital PR as part of your SEO strategy. Okay, nice, quite a few people, that's what I like to see. I want you to raise your hand now if you're part of a brand and you're thinking about adding digital PR as part of your strategy. A couple of people, nice, okay, good to see. Catch me after, we'll chat. And finally, I want you to raise your hand if you have absolutely no idea what digital PR is or what I'm talking about. No one? Okay, great. I hope that's not because you're worried that I'll bring you up here and chastise you in front of everybody. Don't worry, I'm saving that for later. Okay, so let's jump into how you can start to build momentum in the early stages of your digital PR journey. So these are the short-term tactics that can be used to start to bring in different activities so that you can start to build momentum at the early stage of your digital PR journey. Firstly is reactive. So reactive activity is when you are responding to real-time events and trends that are happening in real time. Let's say, for example, Hailey Bieber is seen wearing a feather boa at Coachella, and then suddenly search increases for feather boas, massively increasing. You're a brand that sells feather boas, you're going to want to know about that. Then we also have more proactive activity, and these are things that can be planned around key moments in the year. You know, like Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas, Wimbledon, the Met Gala, these things happen every year at the same time, so we can plan activity around those in advance. We also have newsjacking, which is where brands will insert themselves into existing conversations by often adding commentary or adding value to stories that journalists are already working on. And finally, newsroom activity as well. So with newsroom activity, we're often responding to press requests and requests directly from journalists themselves. These are typically very time sensitive, and also they're very random. It's very hard to predict what a journalist is going to be working on at any time, but it could be something like a new viral TikTok recipe has gone huge on social media and somebody's looking for a nutritionist to comment on whether it's a good idea or not. But there are some things that should be in place before you can start to really see the effect of these short-term tactics. Firstly is expert access, and this is such a hot topic in the industry at the minute, and incredibly importantly as well. Digital PR really relies on credible voices, and you need somebody who can confidently comment and offer informed opinions, because without that, it's very difficult to gain meaningful coverage. There's also speed. A lot of opportunities are very time sensitive, and turnaround is really critical. So if you're too slow or the moment passes, then you're often missing out on the opportunity as a whole. And finally, sign off as well. If you're a business that has multiple layers of sign off and approval, it makes it very difficult to push these short-term tactics through the pipeline and ultimately gain the coverage off the back of it. But the results speak for themselves. These tactics are very effective, and it means you can often build faster media coverage in between larger data-led campaigns while you're waiting for production. But perhaps most importantly, this tactic directly demonstrates and supports EEAT by directly showing expertise in your field. But no digital PR strategy is complete without thinking ahead, and we'll be exploring how you can future-proof your digital PR strategy. So firstly, this starts with building campaigns based on strong methodologies, and that's going to be a bit of like a key word today that I'm going to be saying a lot, is methodology. But journalists need confidence in more than just the headline in your press release. They need confidence in the data and also the process behind it being gathered. When the foundations are robust, that makes the story far more likely to be authoritative and also newsworthy. Originality also plays a huge role. Unique data sets can give journalists something genuinely new to cover, and that valuable insight and that greater opportunity often leads to more meaningful coverage for a brand. And finally, the strongest digital PR campaigns are never ever built on just one story. All ideas should have multiple angles and multiple different data sets that can be pulled together to create new stories to go out to press. That way you're creating longevity in every piece that you're producing, and it means you can outreach for a much longer time. So back to my original point, what actually makes a strong methodology? Well, a strong methodology is what gives a digital PR campaign its credibility. No matter how creative your story is, journalists and readers alike will need to have trust in your data and your sources. If the methodology feels unclear or weak, then it immediately reduces the credibility in your story. The strongest methodology should always be clear and logical. They should be easy to follow and easy to understand, and it should be created in a way that feels repeatable and logical. Journalists shouldn't have to work hard and do mental gymnastics to work out how you've reached conclusions, and audiences should be able to reach those conclusions as well. They should also be robust and be able to stand up to scrutiny, both internally but also from our readers and journalists alike. Campaigns should always be built with detail and rigour, ensuring that research can handle questioning. And finally, transparency is very important. Using trusted data sources from official businesses can help to build authority and reassurance to the story. When a journalist can clearly see where you've gathered your data from and for what purpose, it helps to add credibility. So, earlier when I said the methodologies actually have to make sense, this is a great example of why. A few years ago, a campaign set out to discover the world's most popular beer, and that was based on search volumes from the previous 12 months. So in 2021, they found that Corona had come out as the world's most popular beer. I wonder why. So you can see how having, they had the data in set, and on the surface, this seemed like it was a data-driven campaign, but really, when you digged into it, the results didn't make sense. On the other hand, and I'm biased, this is a Root campaign, but this campaign was used to discover which cities around the world are the most underwhelming to their tourists. The data analysed over 97,000 Google reviews and set out to discover the most occurrence of set words like underwhelming, overwhelming, and we also removed false positives and false negatives as part of that, so not underwhelming or not underwhelming. So the results speak for themselves for this campaign. Within just 3 months, this campaign drove a 165% increase in Paris-related keywords and content visibility, showing how effectively digital PR can help to support and organise organic growth. The story also achieved a truly global reach. This campaign was featured across 37 different countries, including the UK, Germany, France, Italy. And in fact, the Hungarian Travel Office actually used this campaign as part of their official tourism board, where they said that visitors to Budapest would definitely not be disappointed. So this is one of the clearest indicators of success, is that this campaign has also become an annual report where we can update it time and time again. And like I said, just to recap, the results speak for themselves when it comes to using strong methodologies as part of your data campaigns. Digital PR becomes far more effective and sustainable when you're using strong methodologies that are combined with future-proofing campaign thinking. Credible research, transparent sources help to build a greater trust with journalists, and they help to make stories more easier to validate, publish, and share. That trust leads to stronger media coverage, while also helping brands to establish long-term authority within their industry. But ultimately, stronger methodologies lead to stronger stories, and stronger stories lead to more coverage. Now, in case you weren't already aware, AI is kind of a hot topic right now, so it wouldn't be fair for me to not cover it this morning. Every conversation AI has about your brand, are you even in the room? Let's jump into LLMs, in particular, the new age of search. Now, I stole this quote from one of my wonderful colleagues, Ruth, who said, "If AI is the new gatekeeper of discovery, digital PRs will earn you a place in its memory." Does anybody else have chills? So research recently found that 27% of AI-cited links actually come directly from earned media. So we're going to be exploring how you can get your brand in those places. We know that unlike traditional search engines, LLMs don't rank websites in a fixed order. Instead, they generate responses based on patterns and relationships within the content that they've been trained on. That means that brands are far more likely to appear in AI-generated responses when they are consistently mentioned across trusted and authoritative and well-structured sources online. This is why strong digital PR matters beyond just SEO alone. High-quality coverage, incredible storytelling, and authoritative brand mentions all help to strengthen visibility across LLMs. Now, there are a number of key factors that help increase visibility in LLMs in particular. Firstly is authority and consensus that matter. Content from trusted, widely recognisable sources is more likely to surface, particularly when those credible sources reinforce the same narrative across a number of different channels. Secondly is clarity and structure. A well-organised content with clear headings, clear subheadings, key findings sections, statistics sections, and headings are far more easy for these AI systems to read and interpret. And finally, relevance and substance also play a major role. Content that directly answers questions from the readers help to support factual data and driven insights that is far more valuable than vague or purely opinion-led content. But together, these factors help to reinforce the strong digital PR campaigns built on credible research and clear storytelling are becoming far increasingly more important in an AI-driven search discovery world. And when we look at the type of publications that these LLMs platforms typically source, we can see that there's some really big names in here, like the BBC, The Guardian, ITV News, Sky News. And traditionally, those publications have been very difficult to land coverage in. But what we're learning is that GEO relies on these publications more and more. And that doesn't mean that niche publications are less important. In fact, they are still incredibly important for an overall holistic SEO strategy. So really, the most effective strategy isn't about choosing between large publications or niche sites, it's about balancing both. Major coverage helps to build broad authority and AI visibility, while niche sites help to reinforce relevance and expertise and help organic search strength within certain sectors or topics. And this is a really good example of how AI platforms use those different sources depending on the query being asked. So when I asked GPT a broad consumer-focused question like, what are the most expensive cars to run? The top source cited was The Sun, which in itself cited Sky News. But when I asked a more specific question, like the running cost of a Mercedes-Benz E-Class, one of the top sources cited was Auto Express, which I've seen a much more automotive publication that it reinforces topical expertise and also subject knowledge. But what are the strategic implications for brands? Firstly, brands need to position themselves as the original experts. By giving data-led research and also valuable insights to the industry and other publications, that helps brands to become part of a wider industry conversation and part of these information ecosystems. Secondly, content needs to be designed so that it is for clarity and reuse. Key findings, rankings, and statistics and summaries should be easy to understand and extract, and reinforce and reference both media coverage but also AI-generated responses as well. And consistency also matters. Repeating core themes, expertise and messaging across multiple campaigns and channels such as Reddit or TikTok helps to reinforce recognition over time and increases the likelihood of brands and insights being associated with specific topics. But as just a reality check, of course, it's important to keep a sense of realism about this. Even the strongest methodology or the most authoritative coverage or a well-structured content, inclusion in AI-generated responses is never guaranteed. LLMs are designed to prioritize information that appears safe and credible and also widely validated. So because of that, there are official organizations like ONS or BLS that are from highly established sources that mean it may be more difficult for you to achieve LLM coverage or AI-generated responses in certain areas. And that means that GEO in particular isn't about gaming the system or guaranteeing visibility. Instead, it's about increasing the likelihood that your brand insights or expertise become part of the wider conversations. And in many ways, the fundamentals stay the same. Credible data, authoritative coverage, clear content, and consistent visibility are all the strongest long-term strategy. And I want to finish this morning with a real example of a case study from the Root team within the travel industry. So we launched a series of data-led campaigns focused on topics around the best airports, so best airports for layovers and best airports for families. These campaigns were designed around broad consumer-focused topics with clear seasonal relevance. And looking at Google search trends, we can see that interest in the best airports starts to spike from the new year onwards, but it's pretty relevant throughout the year as well. And what's particularly interesting is that these campaigns also surface in ChatGPT responses for broad information-focused queries, which you can see examples of there. And when we look at why, there's a clear pattern. They were built on robust methodologies, using authentic traveller reviews and official data and credible data. And it also included structured and easy to digest content. And that combination not only made the information more trustworthy for readers and journalists, but it also made it easier for generative AI platforms to read and interpret. So I will leave you with this question. Are you building a digital PR strategy for the internet of today or the one that is coming? Thank you all so much for your time. I'd love to chat to you after. Thanks.